It's the Bulldogs and the Norsemen clashing here at Cheong Park, and in comes the tap. King wins the knockdown. It goes into the hands there of Jones, and he puts one out now here towards the half-forward flank in the direction there of Birch. Takes the mark about 70 from home and just takes his time, pumps one in towards the forward line. One-on-one contest, couldn't take it, could Tobin. Gathered in now here by Cooper. He gets tackled, manages to get a hand out, and I think that's Pongrasech. And a free kick awarded the Norseman way, and deep in the back pocket they will bring the ball back out. Just 30 seconds played here in this first term here at Cheong Park. Here comes the kick up towards the half-back line now here for Norwood. Contested footy. And they move the ball out now here to centre wing. In there is Hudson for Norwood. He lays a pretty strong tackle, met solidly. A pretty hip and shoulder there from Newman. And we'll have a ball up on the centre wing area with just under 49 seconds. No score if you just tuned in. South Croydon and Norwood in action today. In comes the rucking contest. Doing it there was Joel Neibergs for Norwood. Gathered in now here for Cass, for Croydon by Cass. His kick up towards the half-back flank and a pretty good mark. Juggled there. Just can't see who that was. In comes the kick in towards the forward line. In comes the contest. Over the top there was Hill for Norwood. Affected the spoil, and the Norsemen clean up across the back line and swing one out wide. And they get out of there for their half-back line, out to the forward 50. Up onto the centre wing, it's gathered in. Quick hands. Oh, solid bump there by Stewart. As the ball jars loose here on the centre wing. Diving in there was Frankie Anderson on top of the footy. No one can take a clean toss. Stewart claimed he was legged there. Play continues, and while just over the line there was Calder for Norwood, and we'll have a boundary throw in.
It's interesting to see Alex Birch is clearly the hit-up target coming out of the middle for the Dogs. He's already got 2 marks leading up onto that forward flank, so it's a good strong hands from him early start.
So boundary throw-in, broadcast side right in front of the social club rooms here at Cheong Park. Hudson there working hard for Norwood, applies a strong tackle. That was a slick handball. South Croydon go inside 50. Newman worked his way back, couldn't quite hold the mark, and strongly tackled there by Cooper. Cooper's been in pretty good form for South Croydon. 7 goals over the last fortnight for the Bulldogs, and we'll be looking to continue that sort of form this afternoon. Tucker went up in the ruck for the Bulldogs that time. Newman there on the deck. Right on the bottom of the pack, and O'Neill there almost got in Wright's back, but the umpire said that was fine. Wright wearing the long sleeves as he usually does in most conditions. Tap was won there by Narbergs. Michael Wright throws it on the boot, belts it forward, and the mark safely held there by Calder. Alex Calder swings onto his left foot. Lovely kick. Honoured the lead of his teammate who should have taken the mark there. Couldn't quite complete it on that occasion. King for the Bulldogs through the middle. Boots it forward. One-on-one contest. Newman had front position, did well then. Palmed it, or got it down then to his teammate in Lane. Lane's kick, not a good one. The Bulldogs charge forward again. Anderson, a little bit too far out to score, you would think. His kick was touched off the boot by Calder. Fist there by Matty Ava in defence, working hard for Norwood. Little handball was shot out by O'Neill. That was good. Great footy from the Bulldogs. And Rosier has kicked the goal for South Croydon. Gets them off to a good start. They lead 1 goal on the board. Norwood yet to score, coming up to 4 minutes gone in the first quarter.
Dan and I spoke to Pat Bowden before the game, and he was talking about how their decision-making under pressure has probably let them down in the last few weeks, especially last week, and it's happened again, just exiting back 50 there, Brad, and they just couldn't transition it long up the line. A poor kick out on the wing, and South Croydon made them pay.
So Rosier opens the scoring here for for Croydon. And just 4 minutes played first term. They lead 1 straight 6. Ball up again in the centre. Narbergs into the ruck now against King. Wins the tap down. Ball loose on the deck, gathered in, but intercepted here by Croydon. Strong tackle applied. And that was Calder that time. Wrapping up Liam Cox. And we'll have a ball up on the edge of the centre square. King and Narbergs back into the ruck again. King wins the tap down. Loose footy. King gets his own ruck. Tries to burst through a pack of players. He's pretty well held there by Hudson. And we'll have another ball up on the centre wing. So, full complement of Division 1 fixtures on this afternoon. Barry Cotts on the score centre this afternoon. We'll be bringing you all the scores from around the Eastern Footy League as they progress. Of course, Division 2 split round this weekend, the only division with said split round as Pongrasic tried to do the roving there for Croydon. Is picked up and pumped back in towards centre half forward there. Trying to take the mark there for Norwood was Bennell. Couldn't win the footy. Hands out there by Newman. The kick around the corner. It's a grubber and picked up here by Pearson. Got a couple of Croydon tacklers to evade. Gets a hand pass out now here to Feltham. It was picked off. And Croydon pumped this one back into the half forward line. One-on-one contest. Hill did enough to win the body. It's at the feet there of Birch. He can't gather the footy in. He goes off the ground and he's just snuck it through about 2 inches inside the left goal post. Second goal of the game now here for the Bulldogs. They lead 2 straight 12. Norwood yet to score. 5:32 gone first term.
Yeah, and once again, Norwood they're just panicking. They need someone to lead up off half forward like Birch has done for the Dogs because they just can't transition out of half back at the moment. Michael King did well in there, in and under. Short little ball down the line, and it looks like Stewart's gone to Tucker, and he did well there, but Birch is toweling up his opponent at the moment.
Well, 2 goals on the board for South Croydon inside 6 minutes of this game. 12-point lead to them as Narbergs wins the ruck contest. Quick kick there by Marshall for the Bulldogs. Running onto it is Cass. Lovely pass. Hits the chest of Birch. Birch comes in board with the kick. Mark probably should have been held then by Gibson. Gives the Bulldogs another chance to load up. Rosier got it out then to Cooper. Little handball shot out by Lane to Bennell. Bennell under pressure, couldn't really get an effective disposal away. And in the end, the ball up was the result. They look pretty dangerous every time they go inside forward. 50 at the moment, the Bulldogs. They're swarming on whoever's got the ball for Norwood. That was O'Neill who got the handball away. Over the boundary line for a throw-in. And the lady there on the other side of the ground with the umbrella up, but I don't think we've got any rain at this stage. Hopefully it will hold off. It's quite dark during the reserves game. I thought if you had lights, you definitely want them on this afternoon, but it has just brightened up a little bit for the senior game. And that's Hudson there on the bottom of the deck for Norwood, unable to extract the ball from the contest. So another ball up.
You can see the rain just off in the distance there, not too far away.
Certainly not cold though, which is good. Strong tackle then applied by Rhett Jordan. Umpire tosses it up once more. Naybergs did well, won the tap down, but it was straight to an opposition player. Rosier's kick to the top of the square. Tucker there competing. I think he's earned a free kick here, Jake Tucker. Yes, he has. The umpire felt he was interfered with in the contest, and he'll go back and line up for his first of the day. Kicked a bag last week for South Croydon. 5 goals against Blackburn in that pretty high scoring contest. Has a chance for his first of this afternoon, and it would be goal number 14 of the year if he can kick this. So Jake Tucker walks in, keeps it low and makes no mistake, straight over the goal umpire's head. Tucker has his first. South Croydon have their third, and even though it's very early stages of this game, this is very similar to how things started off against for Norwood, the way things started off for them against Vermont last week. Shades of that in the early stages. I was about to ask you that, Brad.
I was about to ask, is this better or worse than last week? But you've just answered the question there. That you're right. They've just got no intensity around the footy. South Croydon are winning every 50-50 ball.
Yeah, that game last week, it blew out right from the start. Didn't take any time at all for the goals to start coming, and it just went through the whole first half. It was just goal after goal. Norwood have to reply here, Steve.
Exactly right. As a kick comes in now there from Blees in towards centre half forward for the Norsemen. It's poked forward there by Feltham. Loose footy and a contested footy. And while trying to fend off a tackle and doing well there was Crowell. It was loose as the Norwood players tried to soccer one off the ground. Appeals for out on the full, and not according to the boundary umpire. Will have a boundary throw in deep in the forward pocket here for Norwood. As we talked about, 3 straight 18 of South Croydon. Norwood yet to score nearly halfway through this first quarter in terms of regulation time. In comes the boundary throw in. And into the ruck now. Tapped over the top socket off the ground, almost gathered in there by Chrysaoritis. He goes off and kicks one in towards full forward, and a mark. Oh no, not paid. Play continues. Rushing it over, thinking about rushing it over the deck there was Cox. He gets a handball out now here to Anderson, and away come the Bulldogs on the far side of the ground. Contested footy. Birch over the top, affects the spoil there on Busito. And we'll have boundary throw. No, free kick. Oh, well, free kick according to the umpire, chopping the arms. Kick comes in towards centre half forward. Over the top there goes Tucker. Croydon managed to get the footy and pump it out now in towards the centre square. Flying at the back there was Pearson, couldn't drag it down. It comes now, doing the roving there is King. He kicks a chips a short one out wide. And the mark taken there by Tucker. He's looking for options upfield. And he plays on quickly. Got O'Neill in the centre of the ground, but decides to go towards King. Flying at the back, couldn't take the mark. The crumbs come now here to Newman. Well, probably dropped what he should have taken. And players pile on. We're going to have a ball up about 15 out of goal here for the Bulldogs. And, well, that was a bit sloppy there from Norwood at the back, fellas.
Yeah, just Norwood again. Just look at the transition South Croydon had. They were able to release that kick to Birch, who made a contest.
And Trial trying to get something going there was King of the Michael variety. 3 Kings in this Croydon side. Bit of a task to keep track of all of them. Alrighty. But we're going to have a boundary throw in the forward pocket now here for the Bulldogs. 11 minutes gone. If you're listening here on 98.1 Eastern FM, streaming around the globe, efl.org.au.
Yeah, boundary throw in, tap one down, but it was sharked then by Jordan. Handball shot out to Pearson. Pearson's kick out of defence, looking for Williams, but it was a 2-on-1 which favoured South Croydon. And the mark there safely taken at half forward for the Bulldogs. Ball comes in board to Crow. The Bulldogs veteran, James Crow. Messy kick. Fortuitously landed in the hands of Cass. Cass's kick, not a good one either. There was about 4 Norwood defenders back there to stave off that one. Newman shared it with his teammate out of defence now. Good run and carry provided there by Pearson. Got it to Blease, then on to Wright. Wright spilled it though. King for South Croydon takes the tackler on. Got it to O'Neill, who was all wrapped up. Good, strong tackling by both sides being showcased here. Jordan through the middle, did really well. Got it to Cruceratus as he copped a high one. Umpire said play would continue. Was paid downfield. Hudson's handball to Williams. Williams wants someone to give it to. He gives the don't argue and then dishes off the handball to Hudson. Hudson races in. Goals were in sight, but he's off target. Minus score there. That was clearly Norwood's best opportunity so far. And Blair Hudson probably will be thinking he should have kicked that one.
Yeah, they ran it out better using their hands, which is what they're going to have to do, because at the moment South Croydon are pressing up so high and the Norwood forwards go with the defenders that they haven't got many marking targets to go down the line with the kick.
So Jones with the kick out of defence now, almost marked at the back there by Stewart, but free kick paid, and it's going towards Gibson now, Adam Gibson here for Norwood. 13 minutes gone here in the first term, 17 points the margin to the Bulldogs. In comes the kick towards full forward here for Norwood at the back. Hudson couldn't get there in time. Marshall does the roving now here for Croydon. Gets a handball out now here to his teammate in Cooper. That was Cooper taking the mark, excuse me. That was Walker providing the assistance. Socket off the ground, and again, Norwood now trying to get this one off the cricket pitch here in the middle of the ground. 3 Norwood players there. One of them's Newman. Couldn't gather this one in. And finally they do so. And it's chipped over the top now here to centre wing. And picked up, well, dropped what he should have taken there. Croydon come up with the footy and off now here to Cooper. His hands over the top, well, it was to no one really. Vacant on the 50 line. Hill got ridden into the ground, not paid. Wright's in there, as is Newman. Lays a strong tackle there. And we'll have yet another ball up. That was Allison going to ground there here for South Croydon. Originally listed as an emergency, but he's in his side this afternoon. Ball up just inside the 50 on the left half forward flank now here for South Croydon. It's one out of the ruck. Nabergs couldn't take it down. Pongrasic laid a pretty heavy hip and shoulder. Here's right now here for Norwood. He kicks one in towards centre wing, into a vacant centre wing. Doing the roving there was Potts, and well, that's out over the boundary line. We'll have a boundary throw in.
As suspected, Lee Williams has not been able to isolate a one-on-one anywhere around the ground, and at the moment Norwood need to find another way inside forward 50.
So 14 minutes gone. Norwood just with a minus score. South Croydon 3 straight 18. In comes the boundary thrown. Over the tap was Narbergs. Down now here to Johnson. Breaks a tackle. Loses the footy in the process though. 4 or 5 players in. Great tackle applied there by Wright. And we'll have yet another ball up on the half forward flank.
17-point lead for South Croydon. 3 goals on the board for them. Norwood 1 behind on the Bendigo Bank scoreboard. And just approaching the 15-minute mark of the first quarter. That was a quick kick then by Pongracic. Ava took the mark, runs onto his left foot, boots it forward. It was a 2-on-1 again favouring the Bulldogs, and the mark safely taken there by Shink. Shink's kick was pretty effective, got it to Anderson, and allows him to run and carry the footy, which he usually does well, but he's turned it over this time to Calder. Calder's long kick has, he's put it straight out of bounds on the full. So a couple of rare mistakes, I suppose, that you don't expect to see from players of their quality. Anderson there turning the ball over, and then Alex Calder under not that much pressure, putting it straight out on the full. Free kick will go to Marshall for the Bulldogs. So Dylan Marshall, been a mainstay in this South Croydon team over the last few years. Racked up plenty of games for the Bulldogs. There's a free kick going against Narbergs. Short pass is on to King, Dan King. True centre-half back position, just goes very short with the kick. It was effective to Tucker. They're off and running now, the Bulldogs. Not a lot of pressure on as they come through the middle of the ground. Target then was Michael King, the zippy one. He couldn't quite get the hands on it, and Norwood managed to force a ball up. Gibson and Newman there, the 2 players to get that result. Umpire tosses it up. Tap one by Max King, and over the boundary line. So Norwood just not showing a lot in this first quarter. Their pressure probably hasn't been quite as manic as I thought it would be, and they haven't been able to hit the scoreboard other than just the one behind. So sluggish start from the Norseman, that is for sure. Newman there getting involved again. He's a tireless worker as always in defence. Rarely lowers his colours. Right there, sat on his backside, and he's got a free kick for it, so that paid off nicely. Michael Wright to take the free kick for Norwood. And he tried to send his team away, but it was a poor kick. Max King took the mark. He intercepted nicely then. King's kick. Carried over the head of Hill. Chance there for Feltham. Strong tackle applied there by Ava. And he had his opponent all wrapped up. So it will be a ball up deep in the South Croydon forward line here. And a chance for them perhaps to kick their 4th goal. 17 minutes gone in the first term.
So in comes the ball up. Narberg's into the ruck there against Tucker, trying to win the footy on the deck there was King. Tries to bust through a couple of players. He's pretty much squished there by Adam Gibson. And there'll be a ball up in the South Croydon forward pocket. Let's cross boundary side now to Dan Sensick.
Thanks, Steve. The ground's held up really well, actually. We've seen a fair bit of rain this past week in Melbourne, and gee, most grounds are turning into mud heaps in the Eastern Football League at the moment, but this one's held up really well.
Thanks, Dan. And crashing over the boundary lines, Dylan Marshall with the footy. Boundary throw in just in front of the South Croydon bench. Let's go to Barry Cotts for some score updates.
Yeah, Division 1, Vermont 3-2-20, leading Knox 1 behind, 1 point in Division 1.
Thanks, Barry, and plenty more of that to come throughout the afternoon from around the Eastern Footy League. Here comes the boundary throwing. King up against the right. Narberg's over the top. Could kick there from Hudson doing the roving. It's a high up and under into the centre. Going back with courage was Zach Carroll and took a great mark. It's the hands off there here to Lane. He bursts through centre, swings one out to centre wing, and the mark taken out there by Jordan. He turns around and puts one in towards half forward. One-on-one contest, or couldn't take it there, could Williams, as the rain starts coming down now here at Cheong Park. And over the boundary line goes Walker. Let's go down to Dan Sensick, boundary side.
Thanks, Steve. I might need to borrow, what's his name, Matt's pink umbrella from the other week.
What's his name?
What's his name?
All thanks to Priceline, of course, but I do have the hood on, but I'm starting to fear I'm looking a bit like Walter White from Breaking Bad.
We've spent a whole week together, Dan. You forgot my name.
Well, employee retention is crucial here at the Eastern Footy League. As here a contest at the centre half forward, and we'll have a ball up. It's, well, you've got the better seat. Let's just put it that way, Matt, considering the weather outside. Let's go to Barry. Let's go to Barry for another score.
Yeah, Division 2, it's Bayswater 117 to Mooroolbark, no score.
Thanks, Barry. 3 straight 18 to 1 point. The score here at Cheong Park, 19:30 gone first term, approaching time added on as we've got a blood rule decision here for Norwood. And we've got a free kick, I think, out of that contest.
David Johnson.
So Johnson's going to line up from about 45 out. And here comes the kick. And it looks like it's just to the left. It is second behind of the afternoon for Norwood. Just the 2 minor scores for them so far. They are 2 behinds, trailing South Croydon 3 straight 18. 20 minutes played, first term on the Bendigo Bank scoreboard.
If this rain keeps up, it's going to make the conditions quite greasy, which will suit South Croydon. They've got a lot more speed on the ground, and Crummer's inside 50.
So the Bulldogs bring the ball back in. Birch is the target at half-back. It carried over his head. Bennell can't quite gather cleanly this time. Little handball by Cooper, got it to Cass. Up the wing they move, the Bulldogs. The kick will just carry over the boundary line on the full there from Strawn. And be a free kick to Norwood. Jesse Newman right up against the behind post in his defensive area. So Jesse Newman surveys the scene further afield, weighs up his options, and then looks in the direction of Narberg's. Hudson at the back, gathers it in, hard up against the boundary line. Hudson's kick, carried over the head of Cruceratus. Crowd drop the mark. Cruceratus runs onto the footy now, puts it out into the path of Williams. Williams paddled it nicely further afield to Johnson. The ball just wouldn't quite sit for him that time. Close to the boundary line and over the line, and South Croydon just dodging a bit of a bullet that time because Norwood certainly looked dangerous as they charged forward.
It was the first time they've got out the back of the South Croydon zone and their high press up the ground, and it was pretty fortuitous the way the ball bounced, so they're going to have to find a way to do that more consistently.
16-point lead to South Croydon. 3 straight goals. Norwood 2 behinds. There's a free kick. Don't think the advantage will be paid here, or maybe it will be. Umpire thought it was continuous, and it is a goal to Alex Calder. So the free kick was paid about 25 metres out from goal. Calder grabbed the footy, put it through for a goal. Norwood finally have their first on the board, and they trail by 10 points. But let's hear some of the other scores around Division 1 with Barry Cox.
Yeah, Division 1 is 10-minute mark. Bourne 1 behind, Doncaster 1 behind.
Oh.
An enthralling game out of Trams Reserve.
Oh, man. Game of inches, to say the least, out there. But right here, 16-point lead to the Bulldogs. 22 minutes gone, first term on Radio Eastern at 98.1 or streaming around the globe, efl.org.au. Narberg's won the tap, did the roving as well. Loose footy, Frank Anderson there to socket that one off the ground. Hudson has it. Anderson has him pretty well dealt with. Anderson almost got the ball back. The ball between the centre square and the 50, and plenty of players in between that and its progress. Will have a ball up centre half forward here for South Croydon. And rain looks like it's eased up just temporarily. Broly's still out nonetheless. And the tap or infringement at the ruck there going against South Croydon. And a free kick here for Norwood. Going to a David Johnson. He chips one in short and finds his teammate there in Sam Blees, one of the Melbourne trio we talked about at the start of the game. He swings one out wide there to an unattended Pearson right on the boundary. He kicks one up towards the half forward flank. Tight contest, unable to take the mark was Narberg's tackle there. Dinnell managed to do the roving, but the ball goes right back into the hand of Narberg's, and he's tackled pretty well. And we'll have a ball up on the half forward flank now here for the Norsemen.
That's a massive win for South Croydon, but Norwood need to move the ball quicker out to this fat side. They were out.
A quick kick there off the contest from Carroll. It was in towards Narberg's. Gathered in now here by Williams. Snaps one around the body in towards full forward. Unable to take the mark there was Lane. It's loose on the footy. Oh, what a soccer off the ground there by Narberg. That's going to be a contender for goal of the day. Hit the post. I got too excited. Well, I'll just bring it right back down.
Top corner, though. Top corner.
Top corner.
In off the post.
It's a Lionel Messi special there. 3 straight 18 of South Croydon. Norwood 1-3-9 on the Bendigo Bank scoreboard, 24 minutes played.
Yeah, great attempt there from Joel Narbergs, and yeah, just hit the top of the post there on its way through.
Oh.
So Glenn Strawn to bring the ball back in for the Bulldogs. Usually a pretty good user of it.
He's going to blame that one on the rain.
Now, what's he done there? The umpire's ran in.
He must have stepped over the line.
But he hadn't kicked it yet.
No.
So is he?
Unless he's timed him, but then it's just play on.
Yeah, well, exactly right. It would be called play on. The umpire's tossed it up at the top of the square. Stewart tried to throw it on the boot and kicked the cheap goal there. That was pretty confusing. Through for another behind.
I don't know if Dan had any idea what went on there, but no, he's shaking his head, so no one's got any idea what went on.
No. It's a strange one. So the long kick in this time for the Bulldogs is the way to go. Straight down the middle. Birch was the target. King's handball. Got it to teammate then in Walker, who's been pretty quiet so far. Ball on that outer wing. South Croydon just steady things down. Short pass is on to King of the Dan variety. In the long sleeves, as always, Dan King. Although, you know, usually often has the half sleeves, but he's got the full long sleeves today in the wet conditions. Puts it up and under. Big Pat camped under it. Ball came to ground. Strong tackle applied. The umpire said holding the ball. There wasn't a lot of prior opportunity that time, but it was paid holding the ball. And there's a bit of a scuffle going on after that one. Umpire's right on the scene there just to make sure that no one does anything too untoward. And he's paid a 25-metre penalty here, I think.
Yellow
and he
card.
has issued a yellow card. So it's always the danger. If you're going to do it right in front of the umpire, you will be seen. And that was the case on that occasion. So
I think Jordan just got collected late right on screen there, right after the free was paid, and that was the yellow card.
yeah, it's sorry, it was to Pongracic. So Pongracic was named best on, I think, for South Croydon last week, or first or second best on for them against Blackburn.
Oh, another 25.
Now another 25-metre penalty has gone the way of Norwood. So just breaking down a little bit here for the Bulldogs.
They're very, very short 25s.
2.5.
So Jordan went laterally to Lane. Lane just assessing his options here. Nelson Lane goes in short. Got it to Johnson. David Johnson kept the kick very low. It was a good one, though, to Ava. Ava launches the ball forward. Williams won't be in this contest. It was Darren Stewart who went up for the mark. Ball came to ground to Narbergs, who's looming large up forward at the moment. Strong tackle there applied on the Norwood forward there in Stewart. And the umpire tosses it up once again. King won the tap down. Quick kick, just really a kick in hope. Very high up and under kick. Doesn't really clear the area too much. Handball from Birch, who's been terrific in this first quarter. The Bulldogs charging their way from half back. Promising build up here for them. Short pass is on. It's at half forward now for South Croydon. Ball. The kick comes inboard to Cox. Cox goes to the pocket, and it's a good pass. Great footy from the Bulldogs. Rosier takes the mark and will go back and line up for his second goal of this first term.
I'm pretty disappointed with the Norwood defence because Rosier was just trotting along through centre half forward on his own for a while, and Jesse Newman was right in front of us in our broadcast position, and he just was jogging along, pointed numerous times at Rosier for someone to man him up. He could have done it himself, and now Rosier's probably going to kick his second, and South are going to extend their lead.
So he kicked the first goal of the game for South Croydon, Patrick Rosier, as we hit the 28-minute mark in the first term. Lines up for his second and makes no mistake, and just lets David Johnson know about it as well. So 2 goals for Patrick Rosier, and South Croydon bring the lead back to 14 points.
Yeah, so South Croydon have just taken the game on more, and David Johnson, despite being a bit of a fool there with Rosier after he's kicked the goal, his kick in the middle of the ground before, although albeit dangerous, was something that helped Norwood's transition because he took the game on and made it a quick decision and tried to move it. Other than that, they've tried to be too safe, whereas South Croydon have taken the game on and they're reaping the benefits.
So nearly 29 minutes gone here in the first term. And 14 points to diff. There's a hands out there from King. Finds Walker. His kick now out towards Birch there on the on the half forward flank. He shakes the tackle and kicks one in towards full forward. Out on the lead and unable to take it there was Daniel Cooper. It matters not though, as the siren goes to sound the end of the first quarter. It finishes South Croydon 4.